Okay, we're at our final award tonight, which is our Gary Scott Award. Tonight's award will be given for the 50th time, 50th year anniversary of this great award. Tonight, we were fortunate to host before tonight's ceremony a great gathering here in our cafeteria of past winners, family members, donors, friends, and classmates. It was a great collection and a wonderful, powerful evening that captures this really important award and this award that has been so loved by this community for so many years. Each year, Mr. and Mrs. Jim Bruen come here from Florida each year to give this award, and they are, of course, here again tonight. So I'd like to have Jim come up along. He will be introducing some others to join him, and we're very pleased to have him here in our community again tonight.
Thank you. I would also like to extend an invitation to Lee Hillis, who was a classmate of Gary and I at Syracuse, to come up and join us at the platform with David Scott, Gary's brother, Kathy Damon, Gary's cousin, and Tom Pinkham, who is a prior recipient of the award. Good evening, graduates, and excuse me for having my back, in no disrespect intended to the students behind me. And as Tim pointed out, we did have an event this evening, and we have a substantial representation here of the class of, Gary's class of 1963. Family, past recipients who came back, and donors and friends. This is always a special evening for Jane and I, and this year even more so. On Honors Night in 1963, Gary was called up to accept the John Aramino Award, which you just heard about, which was something the Scott family was particularly proud of because they were familiar with John and the family. Today, as you know, their plaques hang side by side in your lobby. After graduation, Gary went to Syracuse on an ROTC scholarship. I and 15 other classmates formed a close relationship in freshman dorm. Gary showed to me a maturity, a passion, and a focus to excel in whatever he was going to do. He was articulate, meticulous. He had a smile for everyone, friendly, and it was clear to me he was going places. With everyone's participation, including Gary's talent in sports here at LeRoy, we beat the other dorms in competition on campus, fraternities and others, and we felt very special and honored to have done this, and it helped bond us together. We also sat in the dorm room and when John F. Kennedy got assassinated and grieved as a group. The university cooperated with us and allowed us to move as a group 3 times around the campus without spreading us out. So we were like our own private fraternity. We lived, studied, played, shared ups and downs together. We were a very diverse group, racially, religiously. We had city folks, we had chicken farmers, and we all got along very, very well. At Syracuse, Gary was a member of 2 cadet honor societies. He finished at the top of his class, a distinguished military graduate. He accepted a regular commission and was given his choice of Army branch to serve. When Gary told me around graduation time when we were in the park having a picnic that he chose the infantry, I felt a knot in my stomach. I invited him into our small study room and reminded him there were safer choices, safer options within the Army, like the Signal Corps. But Gary had a higher goal that was clear to me from the first time that I met him. And his reply gave me chills in that he said, "Jim, there are insufficient representation of African Americans in leadership positions in our country. The infantry will provide me with the quickest opportunity to be recognized and advance." I said, "Gary, you have a very bright future clearly in front of you. This isn't the time, and Vietnam isn't the place to be a hero." Gary graduated from platoon leadership training in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I found out from the Syracuse co-captain on the basketball team, Rick Dean, who was in that group with Gary, that when he went to the wall in Washington and touched Gary's name, that there were 11 other platoon leaders that were with Gary in that class that were on that wall. The following March, I received a phone call in my office in Rochester from another classmate who was working at the Democrat and Chronicle. He said it just came over the AP wire. Gary, a platoon leader with the 101st, was killed in an ambush, and his body was coming home. I went home and gathered some photos that we had taken that were Gary having fun times at Syracuse, and drove to the Scott home they were now living on Brooks Avenue in Rochester. And we sat in the living room and cried together. His mother, Mabel, said, "Would some of your classmates want to come back and be honorary pallbearers?" And 6 of us did, and went to the service and then out to Riverside Cemetery for the very impactful, when you have a military person killed, it's something you don't forget. Gary's radio man wrote a letter home to his father in Memphis. He told the platoon was ambushed and Lieutenant Scott was killed. The letter was published in a book, Dear America, Letters Home from Vietnam. And I'm just going to read you a brief excerpt. "I served under a great many officers, consider Lieutenant Scott the most worthy to emulate. His characteristics and leadership qualities are what education in America is all about. Tonight, our nation mourns the death of Martin Luther King, who was killed in Memphis. I mourn the death of another great leader, Lieutenant Gary Scott, your loving son, Phil." The medic in Gary's platoon, Bruce Bretagne, drove from Seattle, where they were living at the time, to Rochester on a Memorial Day, probably about 10 years ago, with his wife to tell Gary's sister Sylvia, Gary never asked anyone to do what he himself was not willing to do, and Gary died covering Bruce in that ambush. The Gary Scott Award is meant to recognize a student who demonstrated Gary's characteristics: leadership, overcoming challenges, self-improvement through community involvement, and having a generous heart. I would now like to invite Tom Pinkham, a prior recipient of the Gary Scott Award, to address you.
As he mentioned, I'm a member of the class of 1983 and a proud recipient of the Gary Scott Memorial Award. I was honored to receive that award prior to my graduation from LeRoy, but with this explanation and this history and the evening we spent with the family, it means even more to me now with all that message. And I trust that you too feel the honor that accompanies this award. When I learned of this 50th anniversary award, in all honesty, I had to search my memory boxes to remember whether I won the award. I didn't remember exactly. But the wood and brass plaque and some papers confirmed that I did. And it's interesting to note at the time, the financial component of the award was $203.44. It's about $500 today. At that time, the award helped me realize that others saw talent and ability in me that I didn't see in myself. I was the yearbook editor-in-chief, a captain of the soccer team, and a lead actor in musicals, but there were other activities and things that I didn't participate in or didn't possess that I thought were more important, but I guess not. The award delivered a boost of confidence to my younger, awkward, geeky, not very self-confident self coming out of LeRoy High School. Fast forward to a lot of life lived, and I'm now the father of a rising high school senior and a sophomore, and my attention turns to developing character and leadership in youth. I do this through my work with the Scouts USA program and Boy Scouts of America and the National Engineering Honor Society, working with young people like yourselves here. One thing that makes a community great is the collective contribution of time, talent, and treasure towards making the place you live a better place, whether that's volunteering to coach teams, leading scouting groups, parenting, or just being an active part of organizations that support the community. That's what you do, to be part of the community. You have a great community here. I was part of it some 30 years ago, and though I moved away to the Rochester area, I'm thankful for the small town that gave me my start and the community that I was part of. It's in this spirit of community that I've chosen to contribute to the Gary Scott Scholarship Fund as a way to continue the legacy that Gary's classmates, family, and other supporters have created with this significant scholarship. To the graduates, I'd say this: as your life develops to realize the promise that it now gives, I encourage you, don't forget your alma mater. As each of you honors her by excellence in your work and in your lives, she in turn will honor you. There will be another generation, or maybe two, separated by the same number of years that separate me from you, that will be coming along, and I hope that you find it in yourselves to find the time and the dedication to help launch their lives with the same skills and contributions to be part of whatever community you live in.
The award this year is $8,000. It was contributed by 22 of Gary's classmates, family, friends. This year's recipient has been a special part of this school's community. She is dedicated and prides herself on quality and effort. She has refused to be defined by adversity. In spite of personal, physical health issues, she is always ready to tackle a challenge and help in any way she can. She helped initiate the support Knights Tech Desk for the benefit of the school and the community. She is part of the emerging Knights leadership team and stepped up multiple times to help lead new activities on campus. She led a new student recognition program, Knowledgeable Knights. She worked her way up to stage manager for school musical productions. It's my great pleasure to ask Farryn Kennedy to come forward. Here to close this off, but I would remind or ask Farryn and other past recipients to come and join us up front. One of the things we like to capture are photos, and that's not because I spent a career at Kodak only, but because we can share tonight and the pride we have in the graduates, and it's really all of you here that have something to be proud of your community, your school. And so we come back because we want to give back to the students and the community. So thank you all for coming, and on my part,